I want to thank you very much. Here we go again. And this is going to be on the New Testament. And we're starting to close out the whole book of the Bible. And this is going to be the book of John, number 1, number 2, and number 3, and also the book of Jude. And these are the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th books of the Bible, the New Testament. So we'll go ahead and pretty well get started. When we look at the book of John, it becomes quite interesting on a historical level. Authored the 4th book of the New Testament in the Gospel. And a lot of thinking is why didn't he add these next 3 books of the Bible at the same time that he authored the 4th Gospel? Because they all follow teachings of the 7 churches of Asia Minor. And then we wonder why God allowed Council of Nicaea, King Constantine, 325 AD, when they put all the books together and said this is going to be all the books in the Bible, why they put it towards the end before Revelation. But God knows, and so we'll go ahead and get started. The fundamental message is God is known to us in Jesus. Hence, fellowship with the Father is through the Son. Number 1, God is light. God is justice. Number 3, God is love. And book 2, verse 14, it is the last hour, last age of the world, and the age of the church. And this is the advent of Jesus when they start building all the Christian churches throughout the world, taking the new message that supplements the Old Testament. And it is the last hour. And grace can be saved by Jesus to lose sin. And our faith teaches us that God desires not the death of sinners, but they be converted and that they live. And then in book 2, verse 15, love not of the world, things in the world. If man love the world, Father not in him, lust, flesh, pride of life is not in the Father. And what this is all saying is basically book 3, verse 13, marvel not at my breathing if the world hates you. And that is so true, because if you follow teachings of God and the teachings of Jesus, you're telling people that they can't do alcohol, they can't do tattoos, they can't worry about or attain money and not think about helping their neighbor or give back to the church or look to do well like I'm doing and get the message out so people can see that God is real. And God is real. We see the miracles every day. And the messages that we get in all 3 of the different books of John is that this is the last hour, and then marvel not that the world hates you, and then heretics, those who question Jesus, we're not supposed to affiliate with them, and he who does good is of God. And we see that in book 2 of John is addressed to the elect lady, and that is referring to a church, Asia Minor. And then it closes out that the children of the elect sister greet thee. And book 3 addressed to Giannis, a great man, he who does good is of God, evil not seen God. Anyone who does good is with God. And as we keep marching through book 1 of John, book 2 of John, book 3, And then we get into the book of Jude, which is the 26th book of the New Testament, the prelude up to Revelations, which we'll start seeing next week. It becomes quite amazing because in book 1, verse 14, Jude is saying that the book of Enoch, seventh from Adam, and Lord execute judgment on all, discovered, the book of Enoch was rediscovered again in 1773 in Ethiopia by a gentleman called Lord James. And the seventh Adam is the Lord cometh with 10,000 of his saints. And this is the book of Enoch, which is not in our Bible, but the Ethiopian Christian Bible it is. And I took it as my thought that after the Revelation, I'll give the book of Enoch because I find it very, very important. And then, so Jude is pretty fascinating because he's talking about the book of Enoch, and he's talking about 200 rebellion angels lose their dignity conferred on them. They're cast in hell. On the last days, they find sentence, and the fullest of the punishment is meted out to them. And then Jude, and what's interesting about Jude, it was written in 62, 63 AD, and it was written before the death of Peter. And Jude is the brother of James, which we had that book of James, the Bishop of Jerusalem. And it preached the gospel written after James. And Jude was the brother of James. And then if that's true, then we see that James' mother was Mary, and Mary was the sister of the Virgin Mary. So he is a cousin of Jesus. And then James is a cousin of Jesus. So we can see that they all knew each other. And so, they would have believed and seen in Jesus, and they would have known that he's real to all of us. And then Jude, kind of like John, is seeing things way up ahead of time, or back in time. Book 1, verse 9, there's the dispute between the angel Michael and the devil over Moses' body. It's nowhere else in the scriptures. And when you look at that, Michael, the angel, the archangel, he didn't revoke Satan or devil in his name. He revoked the devil in the Lord's name. So it shows the righteousness of Michael. And this short little Bible is very, very, very important because it's another testimonial of the reality of Jude and of James and John. They would have all been at the crucifixion of Christ. They would have all been there at the translation of Jesus when he walked again 3 days later. And when he was in the room, they would have been a witness to all that. And then they would have all known that when you become apostle of Christ, death it can happen any day. But John, ironically enough, had a long life. He's one of the few apostles that we don't get a murder rate on him. And you got to remember that on John, Jesus looked down from the cross and told John to take care of his mother, the Virgin Mary. And John took Mary and sailed and went to Asia Minor, Ephesus, and he lived there with Mary until she died. We can assume that she was 18 when she had Jesus, 48 years of age at the death of Jesus, and she probably lived about 20, 30 years longer. and she would have been living in the same house, and she would have had a huge, huge impact on John's thinking to write 4 books of the Bible. Actually, he wrote the Revelation, so he wrote 5 books of the Bible. So he's a major player that God and that Jesus, has chosen to teach the Word of God, which is Jesus. So it's like anything. These are short books of the Bible, John 1, John 2, John 3, and Jude. And if you look at it in the historical outlook that I just mentioned, and if you look at the book of Enoch, and then you see that was mentioned in the Bible, and all stories in the Bible, God is a narrator working through different people, and God would have let the book of Enoch be written in Jude if the book of Enoch wasn't true. And then as we will get into, it's quite amazing. And as we talk to the angels, we've seen that the first time that angels are mentioned, like Gabriel, when he talked to the Virgin Mary and said that she's going to have Jesus. And it's the first time we see, Gabriel mentioned in the Bible. And here again we see the angel Michael written in the Bible again by Jude. And then he personally challenged Satan, and he had to walk away because God is in charge of everything, and he allows Satan to operate. So these are all 4 very powerful books of the Bible, and I want to appreciate you letting me give this sermon on this. And then next week we'll get into the Revelation, and a week later we'll get into the book of Enoch. I want to say a great hello to my brother Bobby and Chris Montgomery, his very dedicated minister with them, the Christ Comfort Ministries, and I appreciate their input every day to enlighten me. And look forward to seeing you next week. Please look at our webpage, and give us encouragement, because we are doing these grants. Right now I'm submitting a $70 million grant to build apartment towers to help the veterans and seniors with disabilities, and job training for over 120 veterans to get a job, which we will get done. We will persevere. So thank you very much, and then I'll see you next week. God bless.